We'd like to make a start now. Can everybody hear this okay at the back? If you can't, I don't know what on earth to do about it. Thank you. First of all, thanks very much for attending this evening. The response is absolutely fantastic. I was talking to John beforehand and he said, what are we going to do if nobody turns up? I said, well, we'll just go home with a bunch of cranks, there's no problem. My name's Keith Richardson, I'm your chair for tonight's meeting. I see this meeting as a great opportunity to widen the debate to a Keswick and Lake District audience in advance of the important meetings towards the end of this month when Copeland, Allerdale District and Cumbria County Councils make their respective and vitally important decisions as to whether or not to advance to stage 4 in the repository process. Just to set the scene for this evening, your speakers, in a batting order, first of all, Stephen Quass from Loweswater, who has a background in geophysics and will present the work of Professor Smythe with regard to the geology. Second speaker is John Wilson from Keswick, a leading commercial lawyer who will explain why the Lake District National Park, in his opinion, should be automatically taken out of the equation for the proposed repository. Then there's Harry Marsland, a Keswick and London-based marketing consultant who will focus on the potential implications of the repository for tourism. Following this, two proponents of the project will have an opportunity to address the meeting. They're Alan Ellis, the Nuclear Decommissioning Authority's Repository Director, and Dr. Jeremy Dealove, Consultant Geologist to the Managing Radioactive Waste Safely Partnership. The presentations will be followed by a question and answer session to give you all an opportunity to join in the debate. I hope that the information and the views expressed here tonight will help people formulate their own opinions if you have not already done so, and that you will then make those views known to the councillors who face such a critical decision at the end of this month. In setting the scene for tonight's meeting, we should not be under any illusions about the significance of this issue. This is the single most important decision that has faced Cumbria and the Lake District in recent times. It has far-reaching consequences for our very special, world-famous environment and our entire future. Not only the present generation of Cumbrians, but for those generations to follow. Taking my chairman's hat off for a moment, I personally am dismayed that new legislation means that a decision of this magnitude is to be taken by only the respective cabinets of our elected representatives, and not the full councils who presumably decided to volunteer our communities for this process in the first place. It seems blatantly ridiculous to me that more councillors will be in a position to make a decision on whether or not something like a supermarket is given the go-ahead than will be making the final decision on the next stage of this worryingly slick public relations march towards a proposal for a high-level nuclear waste repository. A repository that has every chance of being situated beneath a lakeland fell where the geology is possibly flawed. Interestingly, elsewhere in the world where countries such as Finland are going down a route of geological disposal, they first of all found the most suitable geology and then, and only then, went to the relevant community with their proposal and a benefits package. Here in the UK, it was decided to do it the other way around. Find a willing community first, give not so vague hints about a benefits package, and worry about the geology later. I wonder, looking at you all here tonight, how many of you at this moment in time feel particularly willing. It could be argued that your presence in such large numbers at this meeting in Keswick tonight, and at other meetings previously held here in Cockermouth, Maryport, Silloth and Ennerdale, more than suggest that the people are not as willing or as compliant as the proponents of this proposal might like us to be. Anything but. And what, for that matter, constitutes a willing community? Is it the councillors who will make the decision? Is it the people of Ennerdale who will be at the sharp edge of this proposal if it ultimately heads in their direction? Is it the people of the Lake District and Cumbria en masse who only now are really coming to terms with the enormity and significance of this proposal and where it could lead? Your three opposition speakers here tonight, Stephen Quass, John Wilson and Harry Marsland, are not anti-nuclear. They are all professional local people who, like me, are genuinely concerned about the repository plan and the implications it has for Cumbria and the Lake District. What they are doing is taking a stand on a vitally important issue and seriously questioning the wisdom of a geological repository for high-level nuclear waste in this area. They are doing their best to ensure that this region does not sleepwalk into what they, and many others, feel is potentially a disaster waiting to happen. In the run-up to the crucial vote by the councils later this month, Lord Hutton of Furness, the former Defence Secretary and now Chairman of the Nuclear Industry Association, was recently given the best part of a page in the Sunday Telegraph to express his views on why the repository was the way forward. In that newspaper article, he wrote that a no vote by the councils would be, and I quote, an injustice to future generations. I would argue that if this goes ahead in the Lake District, and if in the longer term it all goes horribly wrong, then those future generations will have a very low opinion of our sense of justice if we saddle them with an environmental nightmare resulting from an ill-founded geological repository for high-level nuclear waste. I'm sure we all agree it is long overdue that the problem of high-level nuclear waste is addressed. But surely not if that means the government and the nuclear industry being hell-bent on a particular course of action in this area that may be plain wrong and is in part driven by expediency, convenience, a benefits package, a so-called willing community, the need to secure jobs through nuclear new build, and, where the geology is concerned, perhaps a desire to make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. The environment and future well-being of the English Lake District far outweigh any or all of those considerations. Lord Hutton also said that there should be no room for scaremongering. Curiously, this was a phrase that has also been used extensively by our constituency MP, Jamie Reid, who is very obviously in favour of the repository and who has resorted to accusations of scaremongering. They say that truth is stranger than fiction, but surely even Mr. Reid, from his entrenched position, can recognise that for many people, the very possibility of long-lived and dangerous high-level nuclear waste being buried under a mountain in the English Lake District and in a national park, one of the most beautiful places on planet Earth, and with aspirations of achieving World Heritage Site status, is, quite frankly, as scary as it gets. There are two sides to the coin in every debate, and I'm sure the arguments will be explored fully during the course of this evening's meeting, as we seek to focus constructively attention on the key issues. One of those key issues is undoubtedly the geology of the Lake District and Cumbria, and its suitability or otherwise for a high-level nuclear waste repository. Those in favour of the repository will argue that the vote at this point is not about saying yes or no to a repository. It is simply to go to the next stage and make further geological explorations. Others argue that enough is known already and we should not waste any more time or money in looking at an area already known to be totally unsuitable for purpose. There are others who believe that the Lake District National Park should remain untouched, either on the surface or below the ground, in any event, irrespective of the geology. Unfortunately, there does not appear to be a plan B, and many feel that if we go to the next stage, then that, as they say, will be that. I would make the analogy of a minnow trap, where the fish, that's us in this instance, swim ever deeper into the jam jar and then find that there is no way out. Many people I have talked to hold the view that this is a fait accompli and that the MRWS process is simply ticking boxes and the so-called right of withdrawal is at best questionable. All of this will doubtless be explored as the evening and the meeting unfolds. In closing, I'd just like to say, this afternoon I went for a walk along the ridge of Latrick, the fell overlooking this town and Derwentwater and its wonderful panorama of mountains, rivers, streams and lakes. The ridge on Latrick is actually called the Ridge of the Dead, so named because many of our ancestors, Norse chieftains, are reputed to be buried there. It occurs to me that I hope we never have recourse to bury anything but our ancestors under these lakeland fells, let alone high-level nuclear waste.